Dr. Andrew Karanja is Ambassador Brazil. Honorable Babu Namwamba, EGH, as a permanent representative, United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, and also United Nations Office at Nairobi, that is UNON, and Mr. Ngabo, CBS, as the Consul General, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Honorable Speaker, I will not be going into a lot of the notes that I have with me here, but I just want to go directly to the nominees. And I'll start with that of Mr. Dr. Andrew Karanja. All the nominees, in terms of their suitability and the requirements that they needed to have met before this approval, Honorable Speaker, I want to mention that they all qualified. And in terms of Dr. Andrew Karanja, Dr. Andrew Karanja is seasoned, a scholar, an economist, actually an agricultural economist. And in ascertaining his suitability, the committee wanted to find, first of all, what he will do, because he has no diplomatic training. And he said that he's worked before with the World Bank, his experience in the World Bank, and particularly where, as a country, we are headed into the side of trying to market our country, particularly products like coffee, beyond Kenya. And Brazil hosts other 7 missions. He did indicate, Honorable Speaker, that he will use the experience and leverage on his expertise in the agricultural sector to make sure that we as a country are able to export our beef and still use the experience that he will gather from Brazil to expand our agricultural market, particularly that of beef, of which Brazil is very experienced in. We also asked him as a committee his short stint in the Ministry of Agriculture, and admittedly he agreed that he had been very poor in terms of communication, but with very many experience he had thought that he didn't need to speak much, all he needed to do was to work. But apparently that doesn't work here, and the communication, he implied that he was going to improve his communication skills, and admitted that that was probably what exited him in the Ministry of Agriculture. The second one is Honorable Babu Namwamba. Honorable Babu Namwamba is not new to this House. Honorable Babu Namwamba has worked in so many disciplines and spheres of our country. And the latest one was being a cabinet secretary in charge of sports, where he implored upon the committee that he had worked so hard in the Ministry of Sports, and the chant that Kenya will be hosting, that everyone is speaking about, was largely his contribution. And even in the House here, a distinguished academician on what we submitted before the committee. And he has worked before as CAS in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And Babu Namwamba will not be new to diplomacy. In fact, he went ahead to tell the committee that he will try to profile the United Nations UNEP office, which is, and UNON, which are hosted in Nairobi. But somehow many people still do not appreciate the fact that we host one of the biggest United Nations units in Kenya, and that is going to have it take a bit more space for people to appreciate that we host such a huge UN body in the country. We assessed its suitability, and beyond doubt, and Babu Namwamba demonstrates very clear knowledge of diplomacy and international relations, and it was very easy to engage with him, having been colleagues before. And personally, I want to say that as a team, we were extremely impressed by the performance of Honorable Babu Namwamba during this particular interview. And finally, Honorable Speaker, is Mr. Ngabo. Mr. Ngabo is a career civil servant who has sharpened his teeth in the field of security, worked in different areas in our security infrastructure, particularly in Kenya Police, having rose from the ranks of a cadet officer all the way to the Deputy Inspector General of our Kenya Police. He is sharp and worked in missions, several missions, particularly in Sierra Leone and Liberia. Mr. Ngabo demonstrated extreme knowledge, particularly in area that has been posted to, nominated for rather, and that is Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Many will recall, Honorable Speaker, that when I came before this House to request if we could send our officers, and particularly many times when I appear on our media spaces, most of what I vocalize is what I get from people like Mr. Ngabo. He's very experienced in terms of peacekeeping. He truly understands his role as a security officer. And I remember a case in mind where one of the members asked him his role in the bombers of Kenya during the national tallying. If you remember, there was a bit of fracas there in National Tallying Center. And Mr. Ngabo owned up to some of the mistakes that happened at that time, and it was not their making, because many of the people who actually created mayhem, like he says, were accredited to be in that station. And he's saying that such experience prepares them even better as a police force to work in the future. I'll go to the case of one Madam Nyambura, which I probably don't have in my notes, but you will remember that there was a decline by one of the nominees posted to Ghana. And this poses very serious questions, Honorable Speaker. And you remember my committee expressed its frustration, particularly where it seems that individuals who've been posted to stations are either not aware or disinterested, yet somehow their names find their space in the postings. Honorable Speaker, as a House, my committee is totally getting frustrated, particularly where we feel that as a country we could be creating an unnecessary diplomatic tiff with countries that have enjoyed relatively very good relationship. Ghana has been jinxed, Honorable Speaker. This is the second time that a nominee is declining to be posted to Ghana. And my committee, we did express our frustration, and we want to call, and I want to use this, particular point now to, Honorable Speaker, to even seek guidance from you, Mr. Speaker, that I know most of these appointees are appointed by the President, but it is consultation. And that consultation normally happens between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the head of public service. And my committee did put on notice these officers that in future we should not waste space and time giving people appointments that they probably do not even require. I tell you, Honorable Speaker, we sit with so many diplomats, trained diplomats from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They are expressing their frustration. It spits on their face when there are nominees who do not even wish to go to stations, and there are officers who stagnated in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because that is the apex of diplomacy, being called an ambassador and being posted to a station. Yet so many of them are still working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, looking for an opportunity to serve our country very diligently outside. Those opportunities are not given to them. And I want to implore upon the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the head of public service that in future, they should not waste the committee's time. They need to be extremely diligent on individuals that are being posted on missions, because those are the eyes and the ears of the President. And such embarrassments in future where officers who have been posted are declining because they merely might not have been consulted should cease. These are opportunities that so many Kenyans are yearning for, and it is imperative on those officers to make sure that they do their due diligence, so that officers who get their space and names on the table of a vetting committee must have been consulted, must be ready to serve the country in those capacities, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I promise that I'll keep it short, so I will not bore the House with so many other stories. And so therefore, Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that this House approves the appointment of Dr. Andrew Karanja as the Ambassador of Brazil, Honorable Babu Namwamba, EGH, as a Permanent Representative, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, United Nations Office, UNON, and Mr. Ngabo Noor as a CBS, as a Consul General, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. My committee further went, and I do not want to read it because I've said that the Chief of Staff and the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs and the Head of Public Service to enhance the rigor of due diligence process and ensure nominees are consulted and concur and are ready to serve the country to avoid incidences of nominees turning down the nomination. Honorable Speaker, at this point then I beg to move and urge the House to adopt this committee. I therefore request Honorable Major Retired Sheikh Abdullahi Bashir, my chairperson, to second the motion. Thank you.
Major Bashir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to second the motion that this House approves the appointment of the 3 nominees out of the 4 persons nominated for appointment as High Commissioners, Ambassador, Permanent Representative, and Consul General. Honorable Speaker, the office of the High Commissioner, Ambassador, Permanent Representative, or Consul General is an office under the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. The duties of these various